Hello everyone and welcome to your Advective weather update on Tropical Storm 18S. Let's jump right into it here. This is the tropical storm. You'll notice it is currently moving here to the southwest, and with that you'll notice some healthy thunderstorms that are also within the system that are allowing it to strengthen with time. This is a damaging and dangerous cyclone here that's going to be moving towards Australia with time, and it's going to only get stronger from here. This is a brand new tropical cyclone, and again, if you're in northwestern Australia in particular, this is of concern to you. The Joint Typhoon Warning Center currently has this storm with maximum winds of 40 knots or 75 kilometers per hour, and the Bureau of Meteorology currently has this storm with winds of 65 kilometers per hour. So not a huge difference between the two agencies, although the Joint Typhoon Warning Center has this as a tropical storm, the Bureau of Meteorology has this as a tropical low. This is likely to become a very strong cyclone, peaking as a Category 4 or 5 on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale, and it's likely to be a Category 5 on the Australian scale as well. We'll get into how that looks and why that is here in just a minute. So let's look at the weather setup. This is currently located in a very favorable pocket of conditions. Moist air, warm sea surface temperatures, and low wind shear should facilitate rapid intensification of the storm, and it is uncertain when the storm will recurve south, and therefore it is uncertain on who exactly will be hardest hit from this storm. Let's jump into more of why this system is going to be in such favorable conditions. In order for a storm to strengthen, you need it to be in the yellows here for sea surface temperatures, 26 degrees Celsius or warmer. You'll notice there that we're getting into the reds and the pinks. That's 31, 32 degrees Celsius waters. That's more than enough for rapid to explosive intensification of a tropical cyclone. When it comes to wind shear, you want 20 knots or less, and you'll notice there that plume of convection there that stands out there near Australia. That's the tropical cyclone, and you'll notice the center of that is in around 15 knots of wind shear. This is only going to remain about the same, if not lower, with time. So this is going to be in a very favorable pocket for wind shear as well. Finally, when it comes to water vapor, you'll notice our patches of dry air there in southern Australia. However, those aren't going to be of much influence to the storm. It is an overall robust and moist air mass. So it has all three things going for it: moist air, good sea surface temperatures, and low wind shear, which is going to set the stage for rapid intensification. This is over the next couple of days here, the next 3 days or so, and you'll notice by 8 a.m. on April 12th, Australian time, we have a Category 3 cyclone according to the Bureau of Meteorology. This is on the Australian scale. You'll notice there that we do have cyclone warnings in place for Kalambaru and Mitchell Plateau there. Which is actually in a watch. It's just to the east of that. It's in a warning. And as we head towards places like Curry Bay, Kakadu Island, and Cape Levegeek, that you'll notice the cyclone watches that are currently in place at this time. Let's take a look at a second opinion. That was from the officials at the Bureau of Meteorology. This is courtesy of the Joint Typhoon Warning Center out of Guam. So this is what they're saying. Currently, the storm has winds of 40 knots, but they're expecting it to strengthen quickly, with a peak intensity shortly before striking land of 130 knots. That's 150 miles per hour. That is extremely dangerous in a Category 4 equivalent on the Saffir-Simpson scale and a Category 5 on the Australian scale that's currently expected from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, and I would not be surprised to see a storm this strong or stronger end up occurring. Let's take a look at impacts now. This is the current track of the storm that's expected by the Global Forecast System ensembles. This is to give you an idea of how much uncertainty there is. You'll notice quite a few to the east, quite a few to the west of that gray line, which is the official forecast track. That's where those blue lines are that give us uncertainty on where exactly it's expected that these storms are going to head. You'll notice when it comes to wind shear that there's a general consensus on it becoming less. However, you'll also notice that there is a bit of uncertainty there. However, most of these models did not initialize the wind shear correctly, so basically I would say follow that blue line there, that dark blue line. You're getting pretty good wind shear. Sea surface temperatures are expected to be maintained at nearly 30 degrees Celsius, and our relative humidity is going to remain above 60% for most of the storm's life. So again, very favorable conditions according to this model. According to this model suite, this gives us a better idea of intensity with multiple models taking it up to Category 5. You can only see one here, however, the COAMPS model is also doing the same thing. So multiple models taking it all the way up to Category 5, the current forecast up to Category 4 at this time, and again, track uncertainty is shown there with favorable weather conditions. Let's take a look at another impact that isn't talked about as much. This is rainfall. So this shows you where the high confidence is of rain totals occurring. So you'll notice there are 100, 125 millimeters of rain expected over some plots of land there. This is what the high confidence is for the minimum amount of rainfall to expect in a given area. Let's take that confidence and say that we know exactly what the track of this cyclone is going to be. Whoever gets landfall from this is going to have rainfall well over 300 millimeters. So there's going to be quite a lot of rain to deal with, and flooding is definitely going to be a concern, as well as storm surge where the storm makes landfall. Although, again, we don't exactly know where that's going to be yet. So don't pay attention to the exact locations here on this map. Just know that wherever along the coast of Australia the storm makes landfall, you can expect rainfall pretty similar to what you're seeing here. Let's take a look at this from a different perspective. This is the H-WRF. This is a weather model, and this kind of gives you an idea of what the evolution of this storm could look like with time, with it peaking as a Category 5 cyclone before striking land. Now you'll notice, despite the Category 4 official forecast, I keep mentioning this could be a Category 5. That's because the first forecast from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center did have it at that intensity, and the conditions are definitely favorable enough that it could get that strong. So while I don't want to scare people, I don't want to have people freaking out, I want you to know this is going to be a very strong storm. And regardless of whether it's a Category 3, 4, or 5 on the Saffir-Simpson or Australian scale, this is going to be a high-impact storm as well. So I just want to strongly message, high impact is going to occur from this storm wherever it does make landfall from winds, flooding, and storm surge. However, we don't know exactly where that's going to be yet, and there are a few things you can do here to prepare. Before we talk about that, though, let's take a look at what this storm could look like here from a satellite perspective. You'll notice it rapidly develops on this model before making landfall, with quite an eye there. So this, again, another indicator. The storm is going to strengthen rapidly, become well structured, make landfall, and then begin to dissipate. But wherever the landfall does occur, again, it's going to be high impact. So, this isn't a time to freak out, this isn't a time to panic, but it is a time to start preparing. Here's how you do that. You need to make sure that when a storm threatens, this is what you do. Firstly, protect your home. Cover windows, secure doors, and loose items, things like that. And as we have more certainty on where the storm is going to go exactly, we can make recommendations on who should do that. Determine sheltering options and consider your pets. You want to be ready for your to-go bag, medicine, supplies, charge up your phone, fill up and charge your vehicle. You want to help your neighbors, especially the elderly and other vulnerable people, and make sure that you're following local authorities in Australia and follow evacuation orders if those are given. Stay protected during storms. If you do stay to ride out the storm, make sure that you're in your safe places from water and wind. So for water, if that's the bigger concern, that's the highest level of a sturdy building. If you are concerned about wind, that's the lowest level of a sturdy building in an interior room away from windows. Have a way to get weather alerts and forecast updates, and make sure to keep in mind that impacts can be felt far from the coast, well inland, and listen to local officials and avoid travel unless ordered to evacuate. Finally, when it comes to this, use caution after the storms. If you weather the storm, make it through. If you've evacuated, only return home when directed it's safe to do so. Remain vigilant as hazards remain. Heat, down power lines, floodwaters, and more. Cleanup safety is important. Don't push yourself too hard, and check on your neighbors. And only use generators outdoors 20 feet or so outside your home. And also prepare for the likelihood that help and communications may not be available right away after the storm. Well, thank you all so much for watching. I hope this was useful. We're going to continue to make updates on this storm as it does continue. It's expected to be a high-impact, powerful, damaging, dangerous storm for Australia. But again, if you take the preparations that we've given you here and you go to the Bureau of Meteorology website and follow their instructions, you'll be sure to weather this storm just fine. Thank you so much for watching. You're all going to get through this just fine. We'll keep you posted with updates as time goes on, and we hope to see you in the next video on this system tomorrow.